Hi everyone, I am reading Anger, Hero High Book 2 by Mina Chara, presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. In the beginning, in the year 1930, the world experienced strange lights in the sky. A comet gone rogue fell into Earth's orbit and pounded our blue planet with bright shooting stars. In the same year, ordinary men and women began to exhibit superpowers, and by 1939, the connection was clear. In the moments before death, the comet gave powers to those with an overwhelming desire to live. Object D1930X1 got a name, the Heroic Comet. In the war years that followed, those affected by the comet saved thousands. Life in peacetime wasn't so easy. One hero, Stronghold, found the solution. He designed and built Icon City, an island homeland for heroes and a haven for the superpowered. By 1950, some of the early heroes had turned to crime, and this sent the world into panic. The first heroes, now about to retire, created the International Heroes Group, founded in 1959. Its mission was simple: recruit and train new heroes. The group did well, and in 1979, Captain Fantastic joined their ranks. There he battled the most desperate villain of all, Dr. Dangerous. Over the next 5 years, the Doctor's plans became more and more gruesome, and the public demanded action. In 1986, Captain Fantastic took the lead. He killed Dr. Dangerous on live television and surrendered to the police. 1 year later, with his plea of self-defense upheld, Captain Fantastic was free. He spent the next 5 years urging the world to keep a close eye on superheroes and helped found a dedicated television channel. Part of his efforts, he opened a school to train the next generation of superpowered heroes. He called it Hero High. I grew up with stories of the school and the heroes who passed through its doors. Now I get to write one about my hero. Previously on Hero High. Hero High is not just a school for trainee superheroes, it's a reality TV show, one of many on Icon City's Hero Channel. When superpowered Friday Fitzsimmons arrives in Icon City, she knows she will spend much of her time on camera, but Friday's power to think things through without time passing is passive. She's not likely to gain high ratings on the show, but Friday is happy in the background. She suffers from crippling anxiety, and she's determined no one will ever know. Assigned to the single-person Blue team, Friday takes comfort in the presence of her best friend Jake, who is training to be a handler. She also meets the school's principal, Captain Fantastic, and the captain's new mentee, the quiet and boring Ashley Aang. Working with Lisa, her mentor, Friday rescues a little girl and her father from a car crash where she encounters the figure in the flames. Once everyone is safe, she is overwhelmed by a massive anxiety attack and recovers with Ashley's help, but soon finds herself in trouble when a fellow student's power transports her to the top of one of the city's many skyscrapers. There, during a thunderstorm, she meets Dr. Dangerous, but the infamous supervillain is known to be dead, and this one is very much alive. Now with 2 mysteries to solve, Friday finds someone is tracking her every move, and the device they used isn't Hero High issue. Chapter 1. The outside sparkled with neon, blocking out the stars. I'd sent most of my Hero High allowance home to my dad and sister, but there was a small amount left, so I bought a bike. It wasn't subtle or refined. I bought it from a junkyard, but still it would do. I looked it over, tightened where necessary, and turned the key. It rattled so much I tried to shh it as I turned it off, as though that was something you could do with a bike. I shook my head. Time to leave. Finally, some real work after weeks and weeks of boring classes. I couldn't stand another day of being followed by TV cameras. I had to do something. This was my chance. The tracking device I'd found a few days before was stuck under my floorboards. It wasn't Hero High issue, so the best guess I had was that it was the Doctor's. I needed to know more. Finding the tracker had forced me to try and find out more about the figure in the flames. Everything about the figure puzzled me. It seemed like he or she wasn't trying to hurt anyone, but no matter what I did, I felt sure someone was lying. Even after the captain's warnings, I had to find out more. I pursed my lips, purged thoughts of Dr. Dangerous and the figure from my mind, and threw on my jacket and gloves. Lisa would be pleased. She'd said I needed a bike, and finally I had one. I pulled out into the busy streets, where the nightlife of the city was in full swing. The traffic lights glowed against the road. Groups of friends wandered the streets hand in hand or carrying shopping. The streets smelled of fuel. I wrinkled my nose and gripped the handles even tighter, my feet steady on the pedals. Music poured from the department stores. The traffic roared behind me. The wind my bike created was exhilarating. I should have been excited, but nerves still bubbled in my stomach. Friday. Huh? I stopped at traffic signal and looked around. Had someone said my name? Friday! I turned toward the sidewalk, but recognized no one. Friday! I looked again. Jake was pushing through the crowds, and he looked very, very angry. What do you think you're doing? I shouted, worried he would run into the path of a car. I bounced up and down on the saddle of the bike, willing the signal to turn green, but it was useless. Jake didn't seem to care that he was wandering into traffic. Come on, go, green! His hand slammed down on my shoulder. The light pinged green, and I twisted the accelerator, revving the bike's engine. Oh, no, you don't, he snarled. I revved again, but something heavy hit my back. I turned to find Jake had climbed on the bike and was holding on for dear life. Idiot, I told him. Don't hold on to the bike, hold on to me. No, pull over. It's way past curfew, he yelled. There is no curfew, I roared. Fine, it's past a moral curfew. No, get off the bike. No, he insisted. I rode on, my face an icy glare. I felt Jake wobble, heard him panic, and finally lunged forward, wrapping his arms around my waist. About time. Got there eventually, I complained. Where are we going? Jake asked. You're coming with me? I replied, trying not to look back. If you're not going back, yes. Fine. Riding a bike through the city wasn't at all like walking. There were no crowds to contend with. This had a strange sense of privacy. I dipped into a part of the city slightly lower than the rest and finally brought the bike to a halt. Jake jumped off, straightened his jacket, and sighed. Where are we? He grumbled. This is the house the figure blew up, I said, as we walked down the alleyway at the side of the house. Every now and again I stole a glance back at my bike, worried it wouldn't be there when I got back. The sign at the front of the house announced rebuild courtesy of the city. Tarp held together with duct tape covered the bare wood, protecting it from the rain. What are we looking for? Jake asked. Anything. There has to be more to the figure. I can feel it. I scoured the ground for clues and found it surprisingly clean. But something just behind the dumpster caught my eye. I pulled the piece of paper out of my pocket and lined it up. It was a wonder no one had found it. Help me move this, I ordered. Jake and I pushed as hard as we could. The dumpster moved no more than a fraction of an inch, but it was enough. My head tilted as I scratched a place above my ear. I was looking at a gold plastic syringe. A syringe. I picked it up, tucked it away in my bag. What are you going to do with that? Jake asked as he watched. I don't know yet, I said with a shrug. The figure is a bad guy, but I don't think he meant to do what he did. You mean he's a superhero? I don't think so, but maybe he's trying to be. I think he was trying to help. If he's trying to help, shouldn't he go to Hero High? Jake asked. I don't know about that, I told him. Why not? His power's a bit destructive, don't you think? I mean, maybe, said Jake. But if he is, like you said, trying to help, shouldn't we give him the benefit of the doubt? I looked the building up and down once more inside, while Jake ushered me back to the bike. Can I drive? He asked. No, you can't, I said. Oh, come on, he pleaded. You haven't got a license. It's weird seeing a guy on the back of a bike, he pleaded. I don't care. I told him and he rolled his eyes, but smiled anyway. You know, this is cool, Friday. How so? This! We're solving a mystery, he said, and I chuckled. You're like the D detective. I paused as he wrapped his arms around me. Why am I a D detective? Your boobs. That's not funny, Jake. He sighed, his head nestling in the crook of my neck. I'm sorry, he mumbled against my skin. I shook my head and started the bike. Maybe just regular detective. He nodded. The ride was short. Jake got off as soon as he could and trotted off to the handler's dorms, but not before giving me a good-night hug. There was no curfew. The show would get more bang for its buck if they let the kids out in the middle of the night, but still, the term moral curfew was about right. I wandered the halls without turning on the lights, hoping no one would see me as I sneaked back to my dorm. The halls were lit only by city lights from the windows. In the darkness, I heard a scuffle and a couple of groans. Was someone else awake? I turned a corner and smashed right into a camera crew filming two students making out. Ew! I shouted as the cameraman told me to quiet down and the producer shoved me back. Get out of here! We're filming for next week's episode! Ew! I said again and jogged back down the hall, slamming right into someone else's chest. and staring straight into their flashlight. Ow! Jeez! What the hell, Fitz? What are you doing or sneaking around? Asked Ashley, looking as blank as always. None of your business, I told him. There aren't any rules against it. You went to see your handler friend, didn't you? No, maybe shut up, I told him. Stop telling people to shut up. No. Could I have been more dumb? So you're just going to be rude then? He asked, settling the flashlight on my face. Yes. Fine, he said, crossing his arms. Fine, I replied, leaning forward. Good, good, I agreed and stood on tiptoe, trying to match his height. Great, he said, leaning down. Great, I agreed and pushed forward till my nose was nearly touching his. He didn't move. Fitz. What? Stop shouting. The same amused smile I'd seen at a gym practice began to spread across his face. No, I replied. I sure am surprised that you said that. Now his smile was clear. Shut up, I said, but it came out all wrong, probably because I was smiling too. I ducked back, and my nose tickled, ready to explode. I covered it just in time with the inside of my elbow, ready to keep on talking, but 2 more sneezes came out in quick succession. Do you have a cold? He asked. I was stuck up a skyscraper in the middle of the storm, so yeah, I think so, but it's not super bad. You need to be resting, not running around at midnight, he scolded. It's a cold. I'm barely sick. His large hands took me by the shoulder and started steering me towards my dorm. What are you doing, Aang? Taking you back to your dorm? Or to your room, he said. You're not a prefect or the school police, I told him, and swerving out of his loose grip, I turned to face him. You're not in charge of me. I can get back there myself. It's my fault you're sick, he said with a sigh. What? No, it isn't. I pushed you back into Mary's power. That's why you ended up there, so please, he said, leaning down only inches away in the torchlight. Let me walk you back. I pursed my lips and thought it over. I could see him resisting the urge to roll his eyes. Don't make me carry you, like he would. Wait, he wouldn't, right? Fine, I snapped. Fine, he replied. We walked down the hall side by side. I opened the door and he strode right in, judging the walls and furniture as though it were a museum. What? Is your place that different? It's a lot more expensive. Well, I think this was the last dorm house they had. I didn't mean that as an insult. I like your place better than mine. It's not intimidating like the gold teams. I moved into the center of the room and held my arms up as though to show I was fine. I'm here. You can go now. Do you have any chicken stock? What? No, I told him. This is the bit where you leave. Have you had dinner? He mumbled. My lips pursed together and my eyes rolled around the room. I'd had a sandwich, but nothing else. No? Then I'll make you soup, he told me, and send you off to bed. I'm not a kid, I said, not sure how to react. I didn't say you were. Sit down, and I'll make you something to eat, Ashley said. Are you serious? Yes. As I said, it's my fault you ended up on a rooftop in the middle of a storm. He looked down at me, and I could see the regret in his eyes. I bit the inside of my cheek and hummed in agreement. If you're going to do that, let me take a look at your watch while you cook. Confused for a moment, Ashley remembered the conversation we'd had when we first met. He unbuckled his watch, handing it to me before pulling out the pots, pans, and kitchen utensils he needed. I ran into my room, dropped the watch onto my desk, and pulled out my set of watch tools. Unscrewing the back, I placed each nano-machine-sized screw in a careful line. It was just as I'd thought. The hairspring had become so coiled up, it overlapped itself. I prodded it back into place. The thin piece of metal loosened, and I screwed the back on. By the time I'd put my tools away and returned to the living room, Ashley was pouring warm soup into a bowl. Fixed it, I said, as we exchanged objects. I hadn't realized until then, but no one had cooked for me in years. I bit the inside of my cheek. Eat it all. Don't let it get cold, and then go straight to bed. You should be all better in the morning. I nodded. He nodded back. He looked the room up and down as though inspecting for structural weakness and left without a word. I sipped the soup. It was excellent. He, however, was weird. But nice. Well, not really nice. Superficially nice. I carried the soup into my room, sat down, and loosened the floorboard where I'd stored the tracking device. It was still there. I stored the syringe next to it, just in case. It was one of those special days. The sun was out. It looked like it was warm, but unless you were in direct sunshine, you felt cold, all the way to your bones. My phone danced its happy morning dance, and I pulled the blanket over my head. The sound was starting to annoy me. I slammed my head into the pillow a few times. My bed was warm and comfortable. I didn't want to get up, let alone face the fact that I'd been investigating for nearly a week with no result. Every night I tried to sleep and instead lay awake, anxiety thrashing through me until I got up and got my laptop. There had been no new reports of the figure, no sightings of the doctor. No mention of a syringe. In other words, I'd got nowhere. "Rise and shine, kiddo," Lisa yelled in a cheerful voice. I pushed the sheets off my face, and the light forced me to squint. Thanks.